अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। रामो राजमणिः सदा विजयते, रामं रमेशं भजे। रामेणाभिहता निशाचरचमु, रामाय तस्मै नमः। रामान्नास्ति परायणं परतरं, रामस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। रामे चित्तलयः सदा भवतु मे, भो राम मामुद्धर। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं, नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं, सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। अखण्डं सच्चिदानन्दम् अवाङ्मनसगोचरम्, आत्मानमखिलाधारम् आश्रये भीष्टसिद्धये। अर्थतोऽप्यद्वयानन्दान् अतीतद्वैतभानतः, गुरुनाराध्य वेदान्तसारं वक्ष्ये यथामति। In Vedanta Saar, we have been seeing the last portion. We started with Sadhana Chatushtaya Adhikari coming to Guru. This was in chapter number 1. And Swamiji said, the student is the one who has realized that solution to sorrows will come through knowledge. The one who is seeking knowledge for dukkha nivritti, that student is mumukshu, that student is adhikari of Vedanta. In Taittiriya Upanishad, the metaphor is given of a sandhi. When you have two words joining together in Sanskrit, it is called as sandhi. Acharya puro rupam. The first word he says is acharya. Ante vasi uttara rupam. The second word is the student. Now they are going to meet. Guru Upasati, it is given in a metaphor format. The first word and the second word meet, like in that sandhi. Here also the teacher and the student are going to meet. What is their meeting point? Is it some ashram under some tree or some other indicator where both of them are meeting? He says, no, meeting of teacher and student is vidya. Vidya sandhihi. And the adjective given to student is antevasi uttara rupam. Student is antevasi, means he does that by which his teacher is pleased. And what does the teacher expect him to do? Live a life of dharma. Live a life of dharma, live a life of discipline. Whatever is needed as a qualification for Vedanta, all of that the student is ready to put forth effort and bring those qualities in himself. That student gets the title Antevasi Uttara Rupam. Vidya Sandhihi, their meeting point is Vidya. Pravachanagam Sandhanam. Just like every Sandhi has a sutra which brings about that Sandhi. So Yana Sandhi, you see there is a sutra called as Iko Yanachi. Like that, for Vidya, for knowledge, what will bring about that knowledge is Pravachan. Pravachanagam Sandhanam. With this, what tool that the teacher adopts to communicate this knowledge, that is called as Adhyaropa and Apavad. Student came to teacher asking knowledge. Student came seeking removal of Mula Avidya. Together you can say Mula Vidya. Primordial ignorance, that is what he wanted to remove. Then teacher removes it by using this technique of Adhyaropa and Apavada. And through this Adhyaropa Apavada, that Brahman which is devoid of prapancha, that Brahman in which there is no trace of Maya, there is no trace of mind, no trace of this world, clarity about that Brahman as his own nature, a removal of his notion from these conditionings, that teacher accomplishes by Adhyaropa and Apavada. Now, this itself was the major portion in Vedanta Sara. What is Adhyaropa was elaborated. Then what is Apavada? That also was elaborated. Now, the sadhana, the technique for Adhyaropa Apavada is Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasanam. So, Shravanam is where we will systematically go through Adhyaropa and we'll also get to hear about Apavada. I hope these terms are familiar by now. I don't have to elaborate what is Adhyaropa, what is Apavada. If we have still doubts, then we have 8 speakers who are going to recap entire Vedanta Sara in the next 2 sessions, maybe 10 of them. So all of this will again get to hear. So the sadhana was Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. In Vedanta, this is going to be our main anchor. And what is Shravanam? What is Mananam? What is Nididhyasanam? All of that was also elaborated. Then Swamiji took up the topic of Mahavakya Vichara. Tattvamasi Mahavakya and Aham Brahmasi Mahavakya. For that same student who had come to the teacher to seek knowledge, that same student is given this Upadesha of Mahavakya. How to understand Mahavakya? Because that is going to be the essence of entire Upanishads, entire Vedas. Essence of Vedas is Vedanta. Essence of Vedanta is Mahavakya. That Mahavakya one has to understand. Then Swamiji elaborated, in the person in whom this knowledge has taken place, and the one who has a beautiful mind, how does that person transact in this world? The other name for knowledge plus beautiful mind is Jivan Mukta. So that was the topic that we were seeing right now of Jivan Mukti. One more topic in addition to that is called as Videha Mukti. When all this 5 elements of this physical body and the subtle body disintegrates after Prarabdha is completed. That is called as Videha Mukti. That topic we will see. This summary, whatever we just saw, is presented in Subodhini commentary. There are 2 commentaries. One is Subodhini and Vidwan Manoranjani. So towards the end of this whole Vedanta Sara, within 1 paragraph, Subodhini Tikakari summarizes entire Vedanta Sara. He says, pay attention to these points, you will get hold of the whole text. That is their art, which point to hold on to. Now we saw so many details. We saw creation process, we saw under sadhana chatushtaya, different types of karmas and so on. He says all of that should come in mind if you just pay attention to the word adhikari. Adhyaropa Apavada should come in mind when you hear the statement, student approach the teacher. Now how did teacher teach? With the help of Adhyaropa Apavada. And the last part is Mahavakya Vichara. Now 219th verse, we had seen that Jivan Mukta, how does he live? Right? While in this body, looking at this world like a dream. The last statement was, Yatha Indrajalam iti jnanavan, tat Indrajalam pashyannapi paramartham idam iti na pashyati. Just like when we see a magic show, in spite of seeing so many things, this clarity is there that really speaking, there is nothing there. In the same way, he is perceiving this world, but in his mind, he has taken away the reality given to this world. If you have seen something like a rope or some other object being burnt, when it is burnt, it has the same shape of that original object. But the moment you go and touch it, it's only ashes. Like that, he has negated this world. It appears in particular name and form, but really speaking, there is no sara, there is no essence. He says the real essence of that is consciousness only. But the advantage here is, in Jnana Marga, we don't have to do anything externally. We don't have to destroy anything. We just have to remember Adhyaropa Apavada Prakriya. Whatever is appearing is Anatma. First Karya Karana was established. From Atma alone, Anatma has come. But from that Atma, no real creation can emerge. So what is appearing is nothing but Atma in a different form. Now, how does he live with respect to his own physical upadhi? That is mentioned in the next verse, 220. Sa chakshuhu achakshuriva sa karnaha akarna iva ityadi shrutehe. Sa chakshuhu achakshuriva. He has physical eyes, but he knows I have no sense organs. Sa chakshuhu achakshuriva. Sa karnaha akarnaha iva. Has ears, but again knows I am without ears. Without ears means all upadhis, not only eyes and ears. They are just given as an example. Without anything happening to the conditionings, he has succeeded in negating the conditioning. Without insisting on non-perception of conditioning, he is able to negate that conditioning. And really speaking, that is what we call as knowledge. If I insist that only when I don't see the sun rising, then only I will agree that sun doesn't rise, sun doesn't set. But the moment perception is there, is I get confused. Then what will person who knows astronomy or science tell us? The true knowledge is, in spite of perception, if you are able to negate and not get deluded by it, not get carried away by that perception. So here that is the point. Sa chakshuhu achakshuriva. Nothing has happened to chakshu. Nothing has happened to karna also. But he is able to negate that in his understanding. And we had seen earlier, dukkham will enter through these conditionings only. There is no doorway for dukkham to enter other than these upadhis. Either it will come from physical body or it will come through mind. So both of it he is able to very well take care of. Now Upadesha Sahasri, one shloka is quoted just to elaborate this point. How does a jnani see this world? Sushuptavad jagratiyo na pashyati. Sushuptavad jagratiyo na pashyati. Dvayam cha pashyannapi cha dvayatvatah. Dvayam cha pashyannapi cha dvayatvatah. Tatha cha kurvannapi nishkriyaschayah. Tatha cha kurvannapi nishkriyaschayah. Sa atmavinnanya iti hanishchayah. Sa atmavinnanya iti hanishchayah. Iti Uktancha. It is said, where is it said? Upadesha Sahasri. Some of the numbers here are off. So this is Upadesha Sahasri 10:13. In the book it's given as 5. 10th chapter, 13th verse. Sushuptavat jagrati yahana pashyati. The one who says waking world just like he sees deep sleep. This point we had seen earlier also. Deep sleep is the best example for Jivan Mukti. It's an example, huh? Deep sleep is not Jivan Mukti. deep sleep is not sadhana-janya. Sadhana-janya means we don't need to do any sadhana to go into deep sleep. Whatever is not sadhana-janya, it doesn't give any vishesha phalam. It doesn't give any special results. Means we will not get punya karma by going into deep sleep. Punya karma will get exhausted. Right? Past punya karma only gives us deep sleep. So wherever there is specific karma involved, some kind of effort involved, those efforts give special results. Simulating deep sleep in waking or going into deep sleep-like state in waking, that is called as samadhi. Now, samadhi is not natural. For that, we'll have to do Ashtanga Yoga, yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara. Because it is sadhana-janya, it will have vishesha phalam. It will have special result also. This point we had seen earlier, right? If you keep walking, now walking doesn't have any vishesha phalam. Of course, it will take us from one point to another point. But if we go around a temple doing pradakshina, with this bhava that I am doing pradakshina of the Lord, that same karma, because it is sadhana janya, it has special results. But over here the point is, yaha jagrati sushuptavat na pashyati. I mean, just like in sushupti he doesn't see anything, like that in waking state, in spite of seeing everything, he knows there is nothing. That is this Jivan Mukta. That is how he lives in the waking world. Dvayam cha pashyan napi cha advayatvatah. Dvayam cha pashyan means he is seeing duality. There is no non-perception of duality, but advayatvatah, he is pramana-janya jnanam, the knowledge which is gained through Upanishad pramana, it has become so strong that pratyaksha pramana cannot override his Upanishad pramana knowledge. We have seen this in Praman Vichara. There are different types of pramanas. Pratyaksha pramana is what we see through our sense organs, in simple words. And sense organs will never report to us non-duality. Sense organs will always report duality. Mind will always report duality. But he has followed that entire process of Adhyaropa Apavada. Mahavakya has come in his mind. Knowledge has opened up and he has internalized it. The reflection of that knowledge is in this Jivan Mukta. Tathacha kurvan api nishkriyaschayaha. One way to look at this is, whatever action he does, in spite of doing those actions, he is able to pay attention to the actionless self. What we saw in 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, karmani akarmaya pashyet. In karma, he is able to pay attention to that akarma, which is Atma. And whenever this ahankara is withdrawn, he doesn't confuse or mix up that withdrawal. He doesn't mix up that quietude of ahankara with quietude of Atma. That is the insignia of a Jivan Mukta. Ahankara is busy, ahankara is active. He doesn't feel, I have become active. Ahankara is withdrawn. He also doesn't feel, I have become quiet. Not mixing up attributes of ahankara with Atma and abiding in Atma. That is Jivan Mukti. And in Bhagavad Gita 4th chapter, Bhagavan elaborated 2 types of jnanis. One who is in pravrutti and one who is in nivrutti. What are the sadhanas that are there for pravrutti? What are the sadhanas which are there for nivrutti? Sadhana more in the perspective of what is important if somebody is living that kind of a life. Means if somebody is living life of pravritti, they cannot do pravritti and jnanam having lot of expectations. So Bhagavan says the first quality needed is nirashihi. Means whether something works outside, whether something doesn't work outside, both is okay. And the one who is living in nivritti, there Bhagavan said that jnani makes sure that his life is very, very disciplined. So like this, there were different attributes pointed out of the lifestyle of a jnani who is active in the world in pravritti and jnani who is withdrawn. But finally, Bhagavan said, pravritti, nivritti happens of ahankar. It has nothing to do with knowledge. Getting into pravritti doesn't diminish their knowledge. Staying in nivritti doesn't increase their knowledge. The main criteria is understanding nature of truth. Sa atmavid, that person is called atmavid, na anyaha, not other, not anybody else. Iti iha nishchaya. This is the firm conviction over here. For Jivan Mukti, there is one episode in Upanishad Ganga. It's about the story of Paravailla Swami. Mahatma Ji, who came from the north, he learnt only one word. That word was Paravailla. So whoever came and said whatever to him, his only answer was Paravailla. Somebody came and praised him that you are such a great jnani. He said, it's okay. Paravailla in English means doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Somebody came and criticized him. He said, doesn't matter. Somebody asked a question. He said, doesn't matter. He got his answer actually. Means whatever you are asking, really speaking, it doesn't matter. And then finally, the villagers over there, they accuse him of something. He said, doesn't matter. Then they realize their mistake. They again come back. Doesn't matter. That whole thing is to show what is the vritti of a Jivan Mukta. Complete disconnect with what is happening in the world outside. That inner freedom to dissociate from outside world. But whenever we hear this, it looks very impractical to us because we feel such kind of disconnect is so hard. If you are in Vyavahara, to make that complete disconnect. That is why they have phases in our journey. There are times when we cannot make that absolute disconnect, but our rishis say there will be a time when we can make that absolute disconnect. What we call as 4 ashramas: brahmacharya, grahastha, vanaprastha, sannyasa. So vanaprastha ashrama is that turning inwards. In grahastha ashrama, that is not the main sadhana. Complete disconnect is not possible and one should not also. But in vanaprastha and sannyasa, again, if we say, I want to stay connected, connected to what is happening in the world, what is outside. There same scriptures come and say, the purpose of that is done already. We don't have to do that again. More we think about it, more things should open up about how our path is laid towards this goal. Because the purpose is not only to appreciate somebody was there who got this knowledge and became Jivan Mukta. Somebody disconnected from samsara and was able to abide in this knowledge. Every verse we are studying should open up some new path. No sudden change. Yesterday I read one quote. It said, sudden change is not good for weather and behavior. Suddenly something happens. We are not prepared for it weather-wise. In the same way, even sadhana-wise. Now suddenly you hear about disconnect. Sudden change will not work. It has to be a mature unfoldment. but headed in the right direction. The other extreme of that is we use the same verse and say, okay, scriptures only said, right? You cannot disconnect. So whatever attachments we have, whatever other things, we will use the same things to justify that and quote it. So the middle path is what we have to keep reflecting upon. Next portion is very interesting. Somebody might say, what is the knowledge that this Jivan Mukta has now? I am that consciousness. I am not Ahankara. The entire Vedas, if you just take the percentage, almost 90+% of mantras are talking about dharma and adharma, do's and don'ts. You do this, you will get good results. You don't do this, something will, papa karma will come, and so on. Now, for whom was that dharma, adharma? Is it for Atma or is it for Ahankara? Atma or Ahankara? Okay, Atma or Ahankara. Is it one or two? Two. Not Atma. Dharma, adharma is for Ahankara. Atma is beyond dharma, it is beyond adharma also. Now somebody might ask, the moment you know that you are not Ahankara, you are that actionless self. Now will this person not feel like doing whatever he wants? Because he has understood that I am not this Ahankara, I am not this finite Ahankara for whom dharma and adharma is prescribed. I am that Atma, which is beyond dharma and beyond adharma. So won't his transactions become very yatheshtacharanam? Some Sanskrit words, they have their own power. Yatheshtacharanam, he can do whatever he wants. No concept of dharma, no concept of adharma. Swamiji takes the efforts to elaborate that if somebody has this thought, first of all, they will not get knowledge in the first place. And the one who has knowledge will never go on that path. To explain this, next set of verses have come. An expert dancer never makes a false step. Later it will come. Means he has spent so much of his, not one life, several lives, getting good qualities, getting sadhana chatushtaya. Now after knowledge, if somebody feels suddenly he will become whimsical, he can do whatever he wants. He said that is not possible. Such a thing will never happen. 222. Asya jnanat purvam vidyamananam eva ahara viharadinam anuvrittivate shubhavasananam eva anuvrittihi bhavati shubha shubhayoho audasinyam va. Asya jnanat purvam. Asya jivan muktasya. Whatever was there before knowledge. Jnanat purvam vidyamananam eva ahara viharadina. Ahara vihara, literal meaning is the type of food that he ate and the type of activity that he did. Means their overall personality in terms of vyavahara. No change will come as far as vyavaharik expression is concerned. Meaning it will not get lost. Whatever previous thing was there, it was so good that after knowledge, same thing will continue. And if you look at great Mahatmas, it was this facet of their personality which inspired other people. So if you look at Swami Shivanandaji's life, Swamiji was a doctor in Purvashrama. And when, after sannyasa, Swamiji's main Loka Sangraha, we cannot call it seva for a jnani. Loka Sangraha was serving whoever needed medicines. And Puja Gurudev goes there to think about what do this sannyasins do, what struck him first was this facet of Swamiji's personality. That somebody who is so renowned, whatever was there in the past, same thing continued, but with a difference. All the values and other things which are there, they got added. So really speaking, they got beautified. The previous personality with these values, which got beautified, that same thing is continuing further. Ahara viharadinam anurutti vata shubhavasananam eva anuruttihi. Anurutti means carried forward. What is carried forward is shubhavasanas. The auspicious desires which are there, they are carried forward. And he has worked very hard to remove ashubhavasanas. Otherwise, that question can come, how come only shubhavasanas are carried forward? What happened to ashubhavasanas? A lot of sadhana has gone in removing those ashubhavasanas, and knowledge was the final seal. Knowledge by itself doesn't remove ashubhavasanas. Knowledge by itself doesn't remove ashubhavasanas. What removes ashubhavasana is pratipaksha bhavana and vichara. Right? That's why in Bhajagovindam, so many different perspectives are given, so many different facets are pointed out. Knowledge will only tell that I am not this locus where vasanas are there. Vasanas are anatma. I am that consciousness which is of a different degree of reality than these vasanas. Shubha vasananam eva anuvrutti bhavati shubha shubhayoho audasinyam va. Or another way to look at it is, he is not putting forth lot of effort. He is not putting forth conscious efforts to create new shubha vasanas. Shubha ashubhayoho audasinyam va. And even if some ashubha vasana comes, he is not carried away by it. So audasinyam means that. In sadhana phase, all of us as sadhakas have to put so much effort to maintain shubha vasanas. But in case of Jivan Mukta, it is effortless. That point is highlighted. Another reason why so much emphasis is given on this facet of values, of having purity in transactions. It is because only when this happens, Guru Parampara is strong. For Guru Parampara part, we don't have only knowledge. It is knowledge plus acharanam. There is one shloka on who is called as an acharya. Who is an acharya? The shloka goes, Achinotehi shastrarthan. Achare sthapayatyapi. Achinotehi shastrarthan means very well he is able to pick the nuances of scriptures and present it to us. Chinoti means to pick, to select. So Shastras are so deep, so vast. Out of that, he is able to pick the relevant portion and give the student according to their ability, their interest, and so on. But second part is Acharya Sthapayatyapi. He has the power to establish good conduct. He establishes good conduct. Swayam Acharate Yasmat. Not only he establishes, or how does he establish? If somebody asks, he establishes by following it himself. If he expects the student to wake up at 4 o'clock, he should himself wake up at 4. If he expects the student to come prepared, he himself will come prepared. So all of these are different facets of Acharya. Swayam Acharate Yasmat, Tasmat Acharya Uchyate. Because he is able to do these things, that is why he is called as Acharya, not otherwise. So this portion is again to emphasize that these titles need a lot of sadhana. Only the one who is able to do this can hold this Guru Parampara strong. Now there is one shloka from Naishkarma Siddhi. It uses strong words. Wherever strong words are used, it is meant to communicate a point. So we should understand it in the right context. Taduktam buddhadvaita satatvasya yatheshtacharanam yadi shunam tatvadrushan chaiva ko bhedo shuchi bhakshane iti brahmavitvam tatha muktva sa atmajno na chetarah iti cha. The one who is awakened to the truth, the one who is awake to the truth, that person is called as Buddha. So Buddha Advaita Satatvasya. The one who is awakened to that Advaita, one who has understood the essence of that truth as his own self. If somebody says he does Yateshtacharanam, means he doesn't live a disciplined life, does whatever comes to his mind. Shunam Tattvadushan Chaiva Ko Bhedo Ashuchi Bhakshane. What is the difference between a dog and this jnani? Because dog also doesn't have or doesn't think much, before eating something or not eating something. At least it will go and sniff. Like that, Vishayas are there. And if this Jivan Mukta also goes after Vishayas, without thinking where he should go and where he should not go. So, Sureshwaracharya says, what is the difference? Meaning, it cannot be that way. So much elaboration is done, we should not take the other extreme of it and feel that Jnani can do whatever he wants. Now see, unless this thought was there in people at that time, Swamiji would not have elaborated this point. Have you seen this point in any other Prakarana Grantha? That Jnani does not do Yateshtacharanam, elaboration on that topic. Not in many places we will find. Swamiji is taking the effort to elaborate because he says in the world you will see different things. Right? In the name of spirituality or in the name of freedom. He says don't restrain your mind, don't suppress your mind, express whatever you want. So to remove that idea that such a thing is not possible, meaning knowledge only will not come first. This portion is elaborated. Brahmavitvam tatha muktva. The one who is free from this thought, I am knower of truth. One who does not feel that I know Brahman, I am realized. He says only that person is liberated. Sa atmajnaha. Even this thought or perception, I am realized, that becomes a bondage. Because ahankara is sitting inside smiling. It says the one for whom you started this journey, one for whose removal you strived, that thief is very safe inside. Raman Maharshi says this. He calls ahankara as a thief. Because the strange thing is that thief alone is the cop. One who is studying Vedanta is ahankara only. One who needs to get negated is ahankara. So in between, if you get stuck with this idea that I am liberated, that statement is being made by ahankara. So that's why Jivan Mukti portion, another way to look at it is, mere statement doesn't mean anything, whether somebody is liberated or not liberated. Are we able to see those lakshanas of Jivan Mukti in oneself? Means when we see the world, we should not see Nama Rupa. When there is any experience, there is no reality given to that experience. Whenever we think of Aham, nothing of this world, nothing of physical body, nothing of Panchakoshas come to mind. Those are the indicators, not merely a statement. That is what is mentioned here. Brahmavitvam tatha muktva. He is free from this notion that I am realized. Sa atmanyaha nacha itaraha. Other is not. Tadanim amanitvadini jnana sadhanani adveshtutvadayah sagunascha sadgunascha. Did I split it correctly? Sadgunascha alankaravate anuvartante. Tadanim means moreover, for this man of realization, amanitvadini, all the jnana sadhanas which are pointed out in 13th chapter, all of them along with the qualities which are there in 12th chapter, bhakta lakshanas, adveshtutvadayah, sadgunascha, and all other sadgunas whichever are there, alankaravat anuvartante. They become an ornamentation of this jnani. So ornament is something which increases beauty. That which increases beauty of Brahma Vidya. Those are these qualities. So Brahma Vidya minus these qualities, it has not served its purpose. Sometimes it is better to have qualities minus Brahma Vidya. Amanitvadini and Adveshtutvadayah, because they will lead us to Brahma Vidya. But the other way means having knowledge minus these qualities, that is not the spiritual path. Really speaking, the entire purpose of Vyavahara, true purpose of Vyavahara is to get these qualities. True purpose of Seva, sadhana also, is to get these qualities. What happened outside as a result of work, that is really speaking a byproduct. The main success of Karma Yoga is if these qualities have come in that seeker. Amanitva means humility. Adambitva means lack of pride. Adveshta sarva bhutana. Nobody is there on his list of enemies. Ajata shatru. Maitraha, friendly to everybody. Karuna evacha. Once in a while we should keep doing Parayanam of those verses. It's a constant reminder, that Bhagwan, if somebody calls themselves as your devotees, what is it that you expect from us? So Bhagwan has elaborated there. Yome bhakta same priya. This devotee is very dear to me. And then he elaborates those qualities. So the main point here is those qualities become very effortless and they are an ornamentation of that jnani. Taduktam utpannatmavabodhasya yadveshtutvadayo gunaha ayatnato bhavantyasya natu sadhana rupinah utpanna atma avabodhasya. In that jnani in whom this knowledge has taken place, these qualities, adveshta, sarvabhutanam and everything, ayatnatah bhavanti. They come to him effortlessly. Natu sadhana rupinah. He doesn't have to put forth effort as a special sadhana to create those qualities. In sadhaka phase, we have to put forth a lot of effort. But it has reached a point where these qualities are a second nature. Essential nature is Atma. Primary nature is Atma. Secondary nature is all divine qualities. Next one, I'll directly read. We don't have to lead and repeat. Now, after Jivan Mukti, the phase that comes is Videha Mukti. Means when Prarabdha Karma is over, when this body disintegrates, there is no more rebirth. Kim bahuna ayam deha yatra matrartham ichha anichha parecha prapitani sukha duksha lakshanani. Now this Jivan Mukta has no insistence on anything. Prarabdha Karma is taking care of his physical body. And Prarabdha, it said there are three types: Ichha, Anecha, Parecha. Ichha means whatever things you would have preferred. Some kind of choices might be there in terms of living habits, food habits, or whatever other things are there. That is called as Ichha Prarabdha. Even there, he doesn't put too much effort. Anichha Prarabdha means what he doesn't want, that might also come, which anybody doesn't want. For example, sickness at physical body level. That is called as Aniccha Prarabdha. In Subodhini Tika, all humorous examples are given for Aniccha Prarabdha. Means you're walking and a coconut falls on your head. He said that is Aniccha Prarabdha. Means what we would not have liked to happen. See, when they give examples, they are giving from their life. That is a life probably they lived. Right? Very simple, very straightforward. So their examples are also like that. Otherwise, imagine who would think Aniccha Prarabdha means coconut falling on somebody's head. Is in Subodhini, Parecha means which is not his desire, somebody else's desire. So this actually is for a very Virakta Mahatma. Somebody who is very withdrawn. To take care of that Mahatma really becomes Samashti's responsibility. So whatever other people bring, that he accepts. Whatever other people offer, that much he is accepting. No desires from inside. So that is called as Parecha Prarabdha. What others want, that Jivan Mukta to do. Sukha Dukkha Lakshanani. Now all these three Prarabdhas will bring Sukham, it will bring Dukkham also. Parecha Prarabdha is not always Sukham. It can also bring Dukkham. Ichha Prarabdha also can bring Dukkham. Sukha, Dukkha both will be there. He says Arabdha Phalani Anubhavan. Arabdha Phalani means, what is the other name for Arabdha Phalani? You can type it in the chat. What is the other name for Arabdha Phalani? The answer is there in the word itself. Something which has begun very well. Arabdha means begun. Begun very well, add a pra before it. Prarabdha. Prarabdha Phalani. Something which has begun, on which we have no control. Like that arrow which is shot. Only when the speed reduces, it will fall down. So that Arabdha Phalani, Prarabdhas which are there, how does he look at it? Next word is very beautiful. Antah Karana Abhasadinam Avabhasakaha. He doesn't identify with any Anubhava. He says every experience is a thought and I am the illuminator of that thought. Antah Karana Abhasadinam Avabhasakaha San Tad Avasane Pratyag Ananda Parabrahmani Prane Line. Tad Avasane Prarabdha Karmana Avasane. When Prarabdha Karma ends and these pranas depart. Now in case of Ajnani, the subtle body finds a new physical body. and the transmigration continues. But in case of Jnani, what happens? He says, Ajnana tatkarya samskaranam api vinashat parama kaivalyam ananda ekarasam akhila bheda pratibhasa rahitam akhanda brahma avatisthate. Because ignorance is removed and there are no lingering desires. He says, because of that, he attains parama kaivalya. Now, what was there during Jivan Mukti that is different right now? He says, in Jivan Mukti, there was perception of the world. Although negated, but there was perception. Identity with conditionings was negated. But body still continued, mind still was there. He says, Videha Mukti is when even that part is not there. There is Parama Kaivalya, absolute bliss, nothing to do with conditionings. Now, only the person who has thought sufficiently about the sorrow of rebirth, that sadhaka will appreciate Jivan Mukti and also Videha Mukti. Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji put so much efforts, Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Janani, Jatare Shayanam. He says, Iha samsare, bahudustare. Shiva Parada Kshamapana Stotram. Bhagavan says, my whole mistake was, I failed to appreciate the real purpose of human life and I did not worship Lord Shiva. Although I had opportunity, he said, I did not seek this truth. For that Jnani, he says there is Videha Mukti, there is no coming back anymore. Ananda Ekarasam, that Ananda which is absolute bliss, homogeneous. Ekarasam means that. There is no gradation. See, in happiness of mind, there is so much of gradation. One moment mind is happy, another moment it's super excited. And we also feel that way, right? Ananda coming from going for a drive is different from Ananda coming from eating food, is different from running Ananda. Whatever interests us, we feel there is a gradation. But Brahmananda, there is no gradation. There is only one absolute bliss, devoid of mind, devoid of this world. Pratibhasa rahitam. Akhila bheda pratibhasa rahitam. There is no perception also of duality. He is Krutakritya. He is complete in himself. Now we come to the last mantra of Vedanta Saar, last verse. Now somebody might ask, what decides whether I will have rebirth or not? Whether any jiva will have rebirth or not, what decides? I have studied all Upanishads with Shankar Bhashya. Then I studied Brahma Sutra also. Bhagavad Gita I have studied. Does that guarantee no rebirth? I also can speak on all Upanishads, Prakarana Grantha. Give me any topic. Directly I can elaborate on it. Does that guarantee no rebirth? He says no. What will guarantee or what is really needed for cessation of transmigration is desirelessness. Means our scriptures are very clear. They say if you have knowledge, the translation of that knowledge is in desirelessness. Tadjnanam prashamakaram yadindriyanam. Knowledge is that which can quieten our sense organs. Other things are okay. They will help us in knowledge. Nayamatma pravachani na labhya, na medhaya na bahuna shrutena. Yame vaisha vrunute. The one who seeks this truth, single-pointedly, that person gets it. That is elaborated in this verse. That real result of knowledge is desires have walked away from this person. Natasya pranaha utkramanti, natasya pranaha utkramanti, atraiva samavaniyante, Atraiva samavaniyante vimuktascha vimuchyate ityadi shrutehe na tasya pranaha utkramanti. Means there is no more transmigration for him. His subtle body doesn't go to another physical body. What would have pushed us into the next birth is some desire, something which we entertained and it remained unfulfilled here. That thing will make us take another birth. In the case of Raja Bharata, we call him Jada Bharatji. So after knowledge, there were so many things that happened. Means one deer he got attached, that desire another sharira. Stay there and then again come back as Jada Bharatji and give teaching to Raja Rahugana. So after he became Jada Bharatji, he didn't have another Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. Whatever was there before, that thing he abided in. But he was so careful. He said, no more chances. No more chances. Atra eva samavaniyante. The 5 elements which are there, they are disintegrated right here. Subtle body also gets disintegrated. Subtle body doesn't transmigrate. And vimuktascha vimuchyate. The one who was Jivan Mukta, he alone becomes Videha Mukta. The one who is free becomes free. Another way to look at this is, the whole teaching was given to make us abide into our own nature as Nitya Mukta Atma. It was not that at some point we were bound and now we are free. Knowledge is of this nature that I was forever free to begin with. You must have heard that story of man tying the donkey with that rope. It's a very popular Vedantic story. Mahatmas, they share this. You have heard or no? Some have not heard. There was a merchant who had 3 donkeys. He takes it, he was going from one village to another village, and night he had to stay in one place. So he finds an ashram there, and he tells the Mahatma Ji, can I keep my donkeys outside? One night I want to stay. Mahatma Ji says, okay. 2 donkeys he ties. Third one, he doesn't have a rope. So he goes to Mahatma Ji and he says, one rope is not there. Do you have a rope? He says, we are very good with rope, but not these kind of ropes. Vedanta, we have different types of rope snake. He says, you go, you just do an action of tying that donkey. I will chant one mantra from here. So when I chant, the donkey will sit down. This merchant, he goes, does the action. He says, gives thumbs up, you can chant now. So Mahatma Ji chants, donkey sits. Next day morning, he wakes up, does his Nitya Karma and everything. Now he's ready to take all 3 donkeys away, unties the 2 donkeys, and now he's telling the third one to get up. Donkey doesn't get up. Oh, he remembers, so Mahatma has put that mantra. So he goes back again. So Mahatma Ji, can you please chant the undoing mantra so that donkey can get up now? He says, okay, go. Do the action of untying, I will chant from here. So Mahatma starts chanting, and suddenly this donkey gets up and starts going away. Now this merchant is curious. He said, I go to many villages, many cities. I have to stay overnight, and I have many donkeys. If you tell me this mantra, I don't have to carry all the ropes and other paraphernalia. Mahatma says, sit down. There is a mantra. That mantra is called as Adhyaropa Apavada. To begin with, there was no bondage. But because this student identified with conditionings, took upon Anatma as Atma, teacher had to use the whole technique of Adhyaropa and Apavada. Na nirodho na chodpattihi. न बद्धो न च साधकः, न मुमुक्षुर्न वै मुक्तः, इति एषा परमार्थता. There is no apavada, there is no adhyaropa. Na nirodha na cha utpatti. Nirodha means apavada, dissolution. There is no utpatti. There is no creation also. There was nobody who is bound. Na baddha na cha sadhaka. Na mumukshuhu. Really speaking, there is only Chaitanya. There was nobody who was even seeking this truth. Navai muktaha. There is nobody who is liberated also. Nature of knowledge is in this way, and this alone is the absolute reality. Iti esha paramarthata. With Bhagwan's grace, we were able to go through this text, a very beautiful text. If we get mastery or depth in Vedanta Saar, all Upanishads, Vishnu Sahasranama, Lalita Sahasranama, Rudram, will become like Hastamalaka. Means every concept, wherever it comes, we'll be able to relate back to some verse of Vedanta Saar. Because every facet is covered. That was the beauty of this text. We'll chant the first verse just as our commitment to keep studying this over and over again. First and second, both together. Akhandam Satchidanandam Avang Manasagocharam Atmanam Akhiladharam Ashraye Bhishta Siddhaye Arthato Pyadvayanandan Atitadvaita Bhanatah Gurunaradhya Vedanta Saram Vakshe Yathamati. Next two sessions we'll have recap, which is this coming Thursday and the Tuesday of next week. So it will be a nice way to go over the whole text. The text we'll be studying next is Ishavasya Upanishad. We'll do it with Bhashya and Puja Gurudev's commentary. The books are available in our bookstore. You can order it online. So Ramji said you can just go to the website, take a copy for yourself, and I would encourage all of you to get one of both. And it's possible that we might not have slides. Okay, so we really need a book. We'll have to go through every verse and we'll keep referring back and forth. Okay, and Gurudev has written an elaborate commentary, lot of introduction also to Upanishads and several other facets. So please do get your book. You have almost 2 weeks. We'll start Ishavasya Thursday of next week. Next two sessions will be in recap. Okay. Okay. Did I miss anything or I covered all of it, right? Next text is Ishavasya Upanishad. Sorry? Gurudev's commentary on Ishavasya Upanishad and then the Bhashya part. Both books are available in the bookstore. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om, everyone.